All right, so now what I want to do is have the game end if the hero's energy goes down to 0 or below 0. Right? And so how can I do that? Well, I would need to check. Every time the energy changes, I would need to check to see if the player has, deceased, or whether he's still able to play the game. Right? So we need to make a function definition for that, or we could make a function definition for that. So I want to go here, check alive. Okay. And how will we check if he's alive? Well, your program needs to make a decision, right? It needs to say, hey, does he have an energy level that's 0 or below? So I'm going to need to have an if statement, right? Because that's how we check for things in programming. So I'm going to say if energy is less than or equal to 0, then I am going to print line and say name has perished. Okay. And and now I want the program to end as well, right? So what I could say here is I could say sys.exit right here. So this is a command that just kind of closes up your program. But in order to run it, we need the sys module. So if we go up to the very top, we could say import sys. Now that includes a file called sys that's built into Python, and that allows us to run the exit function, and that's a command that will end our program. So let's go ahead and check to see if this works. So I'm going to say Daniel. So I'm going to do option number 2. I think that's where I die. No, it's not. So let's go ahead and do Daniel. Let's do option number 3. Oh, okay. So it says I now have 0 energy points, but I don't run check alive yet. Right? I just wrote the function definition for check alive, which is why my program is not exiting. So where would I want to run check alive? Well, I would want to run it every time I change energy. So I would want to run it there. I would also want to run it here and here, right? So every time his energy goes down, I would want to run check alive. So instead of actually running it after each function call, right, what you can do is you could just run it right here inside the function definition. Oh, I'm sorry, no, not there. Inside the function definition for change energy. So you go ahead and change the energy, and then you check if he's alive. So every time it's run, it's running also check alive. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this here. So if I choose option 1, right, my energy goes up, he runs check alive, and no, I'm not dead yet, so keep on going. Here my energy changes, and I run check alive, but I don't pass away, so it doesn't exit the game, right? So let's go ahead and try running this with option number 2, which is where I do think he perishes. Or no, option 3 is where he perishes. So he comes over here. Yep. So now Daniel has 0 energy points, and Daniel has perished, right? And the game ends. Okay. So yeah, this is one way that you can make it so that your game has a consequence for a certain characteristic of the game, like the energy, going down to 0. Right? You can run sysexit while checking to see if one of the variables is less than 0. And in the case of nutrition, you could maybe check the sugar level, right? And if the sugar level gets too high, and in that case, it would look something like this. It would say, like, if sugar is greater than 100, right, then you could print something like you have caused irreparable harm to your health, right? Something like that. And then you can run sysexit. Right? So go ahead and let's go ahead and incorporate something like this, right? A function that's going to check one of the variables that you created and exit the game if it has gone too high or too low.